Please welcome to the stage LaTarsha Towers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is LaTarsha Towers, and I am honored to be here today. I am honored to tell a little bit about my story and to introduce a public servant who has been a powerful advocate for not only for me, but for Texans. For Texans fighting a hard fight. In October 2024, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Like many cancer patients, I put my trust in my doctors. I followed my treatment plan, and I expected the insurance companies to pay and reimburse the providers for the services that they deemed medically necessary. What I quickly learned is that sometimes the fight isn't just against cancer, but the fight is against the insurance companies. Over the past year, my insurance company denied my prescribed treatments. They denied my physical therapy and occupational therapy that was needed due to chemo-induced neuropathy. They forced my oncologist to go out of network because they raised the cost of the drugs, which made it too high for the office to continue to render the services for that particular payer. They denied the anesthesia that I needed for the PET scan because I have severe claustrophobia. They delayed the hormonal therapy treatments that I needed, 7 treatments that I had left, and they decided that they were not going to pay for those treatments because they deemed them not medically necessary. Right? Every avenue was exhausted. Time and again from my insurance company was the same response. Our decision is continuing to be upheld. Mentally, for months, I went without, For months, I went without critical and preventative care. Almost 6 months, I went without because my provider was continuously fighting with the insurance company to try to get them to overturn their decision. For those months, not only was I physically exhausted from chemo and radiation and trying to recover from chemo and radiation, I was mentally and emotionally exhausted. And to add to that, my provider, because they were forced out of network, in January 2026, I had to see a new oncologist, which means that I had to go over and do tests and different scans again. It made me feel like it was October 2024 all over again, and I was being diagnosed all over again. Let me be clear. I am a cancer patient. The services that my providers were trying to get approved were not administrative decisions. These were medically necessary services. These decisions that the insurance companies made to not pay those services can determine whether I get another birthday, whether I see another holiday, or whether I get the chance to see my daughter grow up to be the wonderful young lady that I know that she's destined to be. At times, it felt too heavy to carry. At times, I felt like I was alone. And then one day, I met Gina Hinojosa. When so many people offered sympathy, Gina offered action. She immediately connected me with my state representative. Her words to me was, "I'm going to help you." After hearing so often from the insurance companies that the denials were not going to be overturned, to hear someone say, "I'm going to help you," changed me. It gave me hope. Gina stood beside me and helped me in challenging the bad faith insurance denials. She reminded me that the government can and should work for you, not the insurance companies. I didn't have to navigate the system alone because Gina has stood by my side since the day that I met her. That kind of public servant is rare, but that is exactly who Gina is. Gina is a leader. She fights with and for Texans. Yes. Because she loves not only the Texans, but she loves this great state of Texas. Gina knows that as Texans, we deserve the best, and she is determined to give us just what we deserve. Please join me in welcoming a champion for Texas families and our future governor of the great state of Texas, Gina Hinojosa.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give it up for LaTarsha. It's that kind of courage, like we just heard from LaTarsha, that will flip Texas. Thank you for sharing your story, LaTarsha. I am Gina Hinojosa, and I am running to be the next governor of Texas. And I am running to win. I grew up in this party. I have deep relationships and friendships here. You have always been there for me. And more importantly, you have always been there for the good fight. And for that I am forever grateful to you. Love you too. Thank you. At the same time, I am not running to be the governor for the Democrats. I'm running to be the governor for the people of Texas. For all the people of Texas. Because there is one fight that unites us all. It is the only fight that matters in 2026, because it is the one fight to decide the question of our time. That's, is this the Texas that is by and for the people, or is this great state the billionaires' world and we just live here? That is the one fight in America, and it is the one fight for Texas. I was born and raised in a Texas that radiated opportunity. I grew up fully trusting, fully knowing that I could be anything I wanted to be if I did my part, if I put in the work. My earliest memory for the words that describe that opportunity came from my father. On a weekend trip home from Matamoros, Mexico to Brownsville, Texas in the Rio Grande Valley, where I was raised, I remember witnessing extreme poverty through the eyes of a little girl and begging on the streets of Mexico. And I asked my dad why. Why in Mexico were people begging on the streets and not in Texas? My dad explained, in Mexico they have the rich and the poor and not much in between. And then he said, here, at home we have a strong middle class. What my father was proudly proclaiming was the American dream. Do you remember the American dream? The American dream is the promise that if you work hard at a full-time job, you could afford to buy a home. You could send your kids to a good school down the street. You could put food on the table without having to do the math twice. Take a vacation and retire with dignity. You did your part, Texas did its part. That was the promise. That was the deal. Securing that deal was the work of the Democratic Party. We have iconic, historic examples. FDR's New Deal made home ownership a reality for millions of Americans, creating middle-class wealth in this country. FDR gave working people the right to unionize. Where are my union brothers and sisters? Raising wages and benefits for the millions of working people in America. LBJ prioritized opportunity for all through public schools that leveled the playing field for all children. These were historic wins that created opportunity that built the middle class. These were our proudest days as Democrats. They were our defining days as Democrats. But we have lost the plot. I will say it plainly because somebody in this party has to. We have lost our way because of a corrupt political system where corporate actors and lobbyists have unlimited money and influence to influence politicians in both parties. The result is that global corporate power has grown at the expense of opportunity for working Texans. Then we let the other side set the terms of the fight, and we showed up to argue it. We stepped into the culture wars for a reason. We stand tall in our namesake as friend because we know Black Texans built this state. Hispanic Texans were here before the border. Muslim Texans are Texans. Asian Texans came for the same dream my father named. We are right to stand tall with Texans no matter their race, color, or creed, and we always will. Still, while we fought on Greg Abbott's terms, he was emptying our pockets. Abbott was secretly taking our money to give to his donors, including $1 billion in no-bid contracts to his donors. But let me be clear that he also openly championed a trickle-down economic agenda for Texas where success was defined as investing in global corporations instead of investment in Texans. And too many Democrats in office went along. It's an establishment politics that has been descriptively named the corporate uniparty. While Greg Abbott and politicians in the Republican Party have been in charge for 30 years and they own this reality, Democrats must own our failure to name it and fight it. Somewhere along the way, we left the kitchen table behind. Friends, that is on us. It was never complicated. It is still not complicated. It is always about your good-paying job, the school in your neighborhood, your tax bill that has gone up 75% with nothing to show for it. But I am right here, right now, putting that fight, the fight for the American dream, back at the center, back on the table. It is the fight for who we are and for who Texas belongs to. It is a fight that unites us, and it is a fight that we can and we must win. Now, here is the truth about the man who has been in the governor's mansion for 12 years and in statewide office for 30 years since I graduated from high school. He is masterful at the sleight of hand. No one does it better. With one hand up here, he points to your neighbor, so you don't see that with his other hand, he's in your pocket. So look down. That money in your pocket, it didn't just vanish. It went to Greg Abbott's donors. Greg Abbott built the biggest data center giveaway in the whole country. The richest men in the world, his donors, are running up your electric bill, guzzling up your water while you pay for it. And now that I am running against him, he wants us all to forget that he sold the farm for cheap in a fire sale, and nobody believes the arsonist will put out the fire. Greg Abbott also took $1 billion from your neighborhood schools to give to unaccountable private schools for his voucher scam after receiving the largest campaign contribution in all of Texas history, $12 million from an out-of-state billionaire with a financial interest in vouchers. There is a name for what you have been paying. It is the Greg Abbott corruption tax. And you pay it every month. You pay it in your electricity bill that arrives when your local school closes, when your grocery bills go up, and as LaTarsha reminded us, you pay it when you can't get the health care you need to survive, despite the fact that you've been paying for it for years. All the while, Greg Abbott's donors get richer. While you paid out, he kept your eyes up and averted, naming a new scapegoat every week. So the only fight you see is the fight that he picked and not the money that he picked from your pocket. Greg Abbott is tearing us apart with our differences because he knows and he fears the truth. The truth is, together we can take back that corporate power and return that power back to the people of Texas. But I didn't come here to talk about him. He is not the point. He is the problem. He is not the point. The point is the teacher who has to sell her plasma to pay her bills. The point is the crane operator who works hard and can't afford to get sick. The point is LaTarsha, who's been paying for health care and can't get the life-saving care she needs. They are the point. They are Texas. They have put in Texas grit. They deserve the American dream. We all do. It is our inheritance as Texans. So my agenda is simple, and it is short, because the plan should be as plain as the promise. Save Texas schools. Because there can be no American dream without strong public schools. Make some noise if you are a proud product of Texas public schools. And put money in your pocket, because if you cannot afford to live and thrive in Texas, the dream is out of reach. That is my agenda. That is my promise. I will save Texas schools and put money in your pocket. That is the work. Anything else takes our eye off the prize, and the prize is too precious to put off any longer. We have already lost years. But if we are focused, if we are disciplined, this is a fight we can win. The American dream is ours for the taking, because Texas is a world economic powerhouse, and it is the people of Texas who built that power. But the thing about power is nobody's going to give it to us. We have to take it back. And that is why I am running to take back that power, but I need you with me in this like you've never been in it before, because this is our best chance in the last 25 years to win, and the stakes have never been higher. So join the fight with me at GinaForTexas.com, because the American dream is a real thing. It is a house with your name on the deed in Fort Worth. It is a porch light left on in McAllen. It is a healthy kid sleeping down the hall in a room that is hers in El Paso. It is a place you do not have to leave to make a living. And it is thriving schools in Austin, in Houston, in Tyler, in Bastrop, in Brownsville, and in Brenham. That is home. It's time to take it back, Texas. Let's come home.